Hi, I'm Maria Czech, and this is the Agile State of Mind. Welcome! Today, we're going to talk about what is Scrum. I also thought about taking this opportunity to explain how to watch the Scrum videos I have on my channel so you get a coherent and in-depth knowledge about Scrum and especially the Scrum events. And for that, I encourage you to also subscribe to my channel and hit on the bell icon so you don't miss anything. Let's start! Scrum is one of the most popular frameworks to organize work, followed by thousands of teams all over the world. In 2020, Scrum celebrates its 25th anniversary. So what is Scrum and where can we apply it? Well, everywhere. From software development to space tech industry like SpaceX. It is an agile framework that provides minimum game rules to organize and deliver complex work in highly changing environments. Complex work is where more is unknown than known, which means there's a lot of uncertainty. Unlike in a classic assembly line, in software development, we cannot fully predict the outcomes, and there's no one recipe to follow and obtain the same results. This is why waterfall methodologies don't go so well with software development. And years ago, this was the only way to produce anything. You got just one chance to make it right. And what if your customers hated it? Today's software industry and even car factories like Tesla are different. They need to respond quickly to changing market conditions. Check if what they planned will provide value for their customers and they will be willing to buy it. And if not, they need to be able to pivot quickly. And this is enabled by Scrum and its iterative approach, which means working in short cycles called sprints and reviewing constantly if we are going in the right direction. Scrum is defined in the Scrum Guide. Its last update was in 2017. Ken Schwaber, one of the founders of Scrum, already announced that there will be a new update coming up this year. Looking forward to it. Scrum is a lightweight framework that represents agile values and principles. When it comes to the roles, the events, and the artifacts, it is quite prescriptive and defines them clearly. There are 3 roles in Scrum: the development team, the product owner, and the Scrum Master, and they all form the Scrum team. The product owner maximizes the product value and is responsible for maintaining an organized product backlog. The development team develops and delivers the product, and Scrum Master makes sure everybody makes the most of the Scrum framework. Scrum also defines the necessary meetings that are called Scrum events, and you can see them in blue here. Sprint is the core event of Scrum. It is the short working cycle I mentioned before. During the sprint, the development team performs the work to deliver a product or a service. A sprint can last up to 1 month. Typically, it would last 2 weeks. What's important is that when one sprint ends, the next one starts immediately afterward. There's not 1 day of delay. Sprints have consistent duration to provide predictability and reduce the complexity. This way, the team creates their own routine. During the sprint planning, the Scrum team chooses the product backlog items for the upcoming sprint and they become the sprint backlog. The Scrum team defines together the sprint goal. After the sprint planning, we start a sprint. You can learn more about the sprint planning in my video here. The daily Scrum. During the sprint, the team meets daily to expect the work they've already done for the sprint goal and plan the work for the day. They also check if there are any impediments preventing them from achieving the sprint goal. I have 2 videos about this daily Scrum, how to run a perfect daily Scrum and what the daily Scrum is not. Sprint review. At the end of the sprint, the Scrum team has an opportunity to talk to the stakeholders about the product done in the sprint. The team presents the product increment so that the stakeholders can actually use it, and then they gather feedback. One of my favorite articles written about this event is the Liberator's myth. The sprint review is a demo. Once I have my video about it, it will appear here. Sprint retrospective. After the sprint review, the sprint is basically over. We have a releasable increment of product that can be delivered to our customers. So before the sprint planning, the Scrum team takes time to reflect on how the sprint went. They inspect their process and collaboration and plan improvements for the next sprint. The retrospective serves also as the team building opportunity, where the team openly expresses their feelings and thoughts about the past sprint. You can watch more about the Agile retrospectives in my video here. Scrum uses an empirical process. What the team learns after each sprint becomes the input for the next one. Now we know what is this process. The roles and the events are clear. The only thing that's left are the artifacts. We have 3 artifacts in Scrum, and they represent the evolution of the product backlog items throughout the process. We start with the product backlog, which is a list of everything we would like to do with our product. That can take different forms. Most common are the user stories and bugs. You can learn more about a product backlog and its refinement in my video here called Refining the Refinement. As I mentioned before, during the sprint planning, the Scrum team chooses the product backlog items for the upcoming sprint, and they become the sprint backlog. At the end of the sprint, the development team creates a working product that is called an increment. It can be a new product or an update to an existing one. To summarize, dealing with a complex environment is like dealing with changing weather conditions. We have a forecast for tomorrow, but only when tomorrow ends, we will be sure if it was accurate. Scrum helps us handle the weather forecast. Instead of pretending we can predict the weather for the whole year or even a month, we focus on short cycles and adapt to changing conditions constantly. That's why the plan made during the sprint planning is called a forecast. The 3 pillars of Scrum, the transparency, inspection and adaptation, along with the 5 Scrum values, guide the teams in their interactions with each other and help with their self-organization. Scrum helps the teams deliver the right thing by helping the 3 different roles collaborate throughout the whole process. The PO maximizes the product value, the dev team delivers the product, and the Scrum Master makes sure everybody understands Scrum and collaborates well. And that's all for today. I hope you have a better understanding of what Scrum is and that this video will help you as a guide to my other Scrum videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye!